My fiancé claimed his stepdaughter needed help with her pregnancy, but then I found out he was the father of her baby and they were trying to scam me out of my inheritance. I, 35 female, have been in a relationship with Ryan, 42 male, for a year now. We got engaged 6 months ago and we're planning to get married next month. I need to tell you guys about how we met and how things progressed to help you understand the whole situation better. I met Ryan at a charity event for homeless children last year. I was one of the organizers as I regularly donate to this cause. Ryan was there as a volunteer, helping with the arrangements. What caught my attention was how good he was with the kids and how efficiently he managed everything. He seemed charming, well-spoken, and very caring towards others. We started talking during the event setup, and he told me about his life. He said he was divorced and had a stepdaughter, Monica, 27 female, from his previous marriage who lived in the same city. According to Ryan, his ex-wife Lisa and he had divorced 5 years ago, but he maintained a close relationship with his stepdaughter Monica. He said that even though Monica wasn't his biological daughter, he had raised her since she was 15, and they had formed a strong bond. He told me that after his divorce from Lisa, Monica had chosen to maintain a relationship with him because she saw him as her real father. I found this incredibly touching. I come from a privileged background. My parents were wealthy, and both they and my grandparents left me substantial inheritances when they passed away. Besides the inherited wealth, I run a successful retail business selling cosmetic products. I started this business 7 years ago with a small store, and now I have 12 stores across 3 states. The business has been doing exceptionally well, especially in the last 2 years. When I met Ryan, he was unemployed. He explained that he had lost his job during COVID when the company he worked for downsized. He said he had been looking for work but hadn't found the right opportunity yet. He showed me his resume, which was quite impressive with various management positions in different companies. I had no reason to doubt him, especially since he seemed genuinely interested in finding work and would often discuss different business ideas with me. Our relationship progressed quickly. Ryan was different from any man I had dated before. He was attentive, caring, and seemed to understand me perfectly. 3 months into our relationship, he moved in with me. It made sense at the time because he was spending most of his time at my place anyway, and his lease was ending. I didn't mind supporting him financially because I believed he was going through a rough patch and would eventually find work. Ryan talked about Monica frequently. He would tell me stories about her childhood, how he taught her to drive, and how proud he was when she graduated college. He showed me old photos of them together at her high school graduation and various family events. However, I had never met Monica in person. Every time I suggested meeting her, Ryan would have an excuse. Sometimes Monica was busy with work, other times she was out of town, or she had other commitments. I found it odd but didn't push too hard because Ryan assured me that I would meet her when the time was right. 6 months into our relationship, Ryan proposed. It was a beautiful proposal at my favorite restaurant. He had even bought a ring, which he said he had saved up for by doing some freelance consulting work. I was completely in love and said yes without hesitation. We set the wedding date for next month, and everything seemed perfect. Last week, Ryan came to me with what he called an emergency. He looked worried and upset as he told me that Monica was pregnant, and her husband had recently left her. According to Ryan, Monica's husband couldn't handle the responsibility of a child and had abandoned her when she was 3 months pregnant. Ryan said she was struggling financially because she had to quit her job due to pregnancy complications. Ryan suggested that since I had received a substantial inheritance from my grandfather recently, I could help Monica by giving her a portion of it. He argued that once we were married, Monica would technically be my stepdaughter too, and helping family was important. He said the money would help her get back on her feet, find a new place to live, and prepare for the baby. I was hesitant at first. Even though I had heard so much about Monica, I had never met her in person. It felt strange to give money to someone I didn't know. But Ryan was persistent. Every day, he would tell me how Monica was struggling. He showed me her ultrasound pictures and told me stories about how devastated she was after her husband left. He even started crying one night, saying he felt helpless watching his daughter suffer. My best friend Audrey, who knew about this situation, warned me to be careful. She thought it was suspicious that I had never met Monica despite being engaged to her father. She suggested I should do some background check before giving any money. But I trusted Ryan completely. We were about to get married, and I believed he would never lie to me about something so important. After a week of Ryan's continuous persuasion, I finally agreed to help Monica. We decided that I would transfer some money to her account after meeting her in person. Ryan was overjoyed when I agreed. He immediately started making plans for a dinner where I could finally meet Monica. He said he wanted everything to be perfect for the first meeting between his 2 favorite women. I started preparing the paperwork for transferring the money. I contacted my lawyer to arrange everything properly. Ryan suggested transferring the money to his account first, saying it would be easier that way, but I insisted on doing everything legally and transparently. I wanted to meet Monica first, understand her situation better, and then make the transfer directly to her account. The dinner was planned for next week, and I was actually looking forward to finally meeting Monica. I had even bought some baby clothes and essentials as gifts for her. I thought this could be the beginning of a good relationship with my future stepdaughter. But I was still uncertain about all this. Should I help her or not? Or should I do some background check as Audrey had told me to? I am worried about what Ryan would think. I need advice here. Update 1. These past few days have felt like a nightmare. Everything I thought I knew about my life and relationship has fallen apart. It started when I received a message on Facebook from someone named James, who claimed to be Monica's ex-boyfriend. Initially, I ignored his message thinking it was spam or someone trying to cause trouble. After all, Ryan had told me Monica's husband had left her, not a boyfriend. But then James sent me something that shocked me, several photos of Ryan and Monica together. These weren't innocent father-daughter photos like the ones Ryan had shown me. In these photos, they were kissing and holding hands at various locations, restaurants, parks, what looked like vacation spots. Some photos were clearly recent as Monica's baby bump was visible. In one particularly disturbing photo, Ryan had his hand on Monica's pregnant belly while kissing her. After seeing the photos, I agreed to meet James at a coffee shop downtown. I was careful about the meeting, choosing a public place and letting Audrey know where I was going. James turned out to be a well-dressed man in his early 30s who looked completely devastated as he shared his story. James told me he had been dating Monica for 2 years before discovering her relationship with Ryan. According to him, Monica and Ryan had been in an on and off relationship for the past 4 years. They had met at a bar where Monica used to work as a bartender. Ryan was a regular customer there, and they started seeing each other secretly. James showed me text messages between him and Monica where she had confessed everything after he confronted her about finding her with Ryan. She had admitted that Ryan was never her stepfather. They had made up that story to hide their relationship from people. I told about the photos of Monica's high school graduation that Ryan had shown me. James said those were photoshopped. Monica had never even met Ryan until she was 23. The most shocking revelation came when James told me about Monica's pregnancy. The baby she was carrying wasn't her husband's, because there was no husband. Monica had never been married. The baby was Ryan's. James discovered this when he overheard Monica talking to Ryan about prenatal appointments. When he confronted her, she broke down and confessed everything. James pulled out his phone and showed me numerous screenshots of conversations between Ryan and Monica. In these messages, they discussed their plan to get money from me. They had known about my inheritance and business success even before Ryan approached me at the charity event. That event wasn't a coincidence, they had planned it knowing I would be there. The messages revealed that Ryan's unemployment wasn't because he couldn't find work. He had deliberately quit his job because he knew he could live off my money. They had been planning this scam for months. Ryan would marry me, then slowly start asking for money for various reasons, always involving Monica in some way. James told me he decided to come forward after seeing Ryan's post about our upcoming wedding on social media. He couldn't bear to see me being deceived by them. As I sat there listening to James, I felt physically sick. Every memory of my time with Ryan took on a different meaning. All those times he talked about Monica being his stepdaughter, all those stories about their father-daughter relationship, every excuse for why I couldn't meet her, everything was a calculated lie. The man I was living with, the man I was about to marry, had been playing me for a fool. James had one final piece of evidence that confirmed everything. He showed me a video he had recorded secretly at a restaurant 3 weeks ago. In it, Ryan and Monica were having dinner together, clearly acting like a couple. They were discussing their plan about getting money from me, laughing about how easily I had believed their story. Monica joked about how she should start calling me mom once they got the money. Ryan laughed and said I was the perfect target, wealthy, trusting, and desperate for a family. Before leaving the coffee shop, James gave me a USB drive containing all the evidence, photos, messages, videos, everything. I drove around the city for hours after meeting James, trying to process everything. The man I had welcomed into my home, the man I had supported and was about to marry, was nothing but a liar. And Monica wasn't his stepdaughter but his young girlfriend, pregnant with his child, both of them plotting to steal my money. I didn't go home that night. I checked into a hotel and started making calls. First to my lawyer, then to a private investigator. I needed to verify everything James had told me and gather more evidence if possible. I also needed time to plan my next move. Ryan had texted me several times asking where I was, but I only replied that I was staying at Audrey's place and needed some alone time to work on wedding preparations. The truth was, I was planning something entirely different from wedding preparations. If Ryan and Monica wanted to play games, I was going to show them exactly who they were dealing with. But first, I needed concrete proof beyond James's evidence. I needed to be absolutely certain before I made my next move. The private investigator assured me he would have preliminary findings within 24 hours. As I sit here in this hotel room, watching the city lights through the window, I feel a mix of emotions, anger, betrayal, humiliation, but mostly, I feel determined. They had picked the wrong woman to scam. Update 2. After meeting James, I spent 2 days gathering evidence and planning my response. The private investigator I hired worked quickly and efficiently. Within 24 hours, he had confirmed everything James told me and uncovered even more disturbing details about Ryan and Monica's relationship. He found records of joint hotel bookings, shared bank accounts, and even an apartment they had rented together 2 years ago. Yesterday was Ryan's birthday, and he had planned a big party at our house. He had invited about 50 people, including his friends and some of my business associates. More importantly, he had invited Monica, saying it was finally time for me to meet her. He was probably getting impatient about the money transfer and thought this would speed things up. I decided this would be the perfect opportunity to expose their lies. I spent the morning acting normal, helping with party preparations and even baking Ryan's favorite cake. He had no idea what was coming. Throughout the day, I noticed him constantly checking his phone and smiling at messages, which I now knew were probably from Monica. The party started at 7 p.m. I had asked Audrey to help me set up a projector and screen in our living room, supposedly for a birthday video tribute to Ryan. As guests arrived, Ryan played the perfect host, charming everyone as usual. Then Monica arrived. Ryan introduced her as his beloved stepdaughter, and I watched in disgust as they put on their act. Monica even hugged me and called me her future stepmom. I let them enjoy their performance for about an hour. Ryan made a show of being the proud father, keeping his arm around Monica's shoulders as he introduced her to everyone. Monica played her part perfectly, telling people how excited she was about the wedding and how happy she was that her dad had found someone like me. At 9 p.m., I asked for everyone's attention for the birthday tribute. Ryan sat in the center of the room, beaming with pride as I stood next to the screen. I started the slideshow, but instead of birthday wishes, the first image that appeared was a recent photo of Ryan and Monica kissing at a restaurant. The room fell silent. I continued clicking through the images, their vacation photos, hotel receipts, bank statements, and screenshots of their text messages planning how to scam me. Finally, I played the video James had recorded of them laughing about their plan. Ryan's face turned from confusion to shock to anger. Monica started crying. I turned to face everyone and calmly explained who Monica really was. I told them about their 4-year relationship, about the baby being Ryan's, and about their scheme to get my inheritance. Ryan tried to grab my arm to stop me, but I pushed him away. He started yelling that I was making things up, that I was crazy and jealous. That's when James walked in. I had invited him as part of my plan. He stood in front of everyone and confirmed everything I had just revealed. Monica, who had been crying, suddenly turned hysterical. She started screaming at James, calling him a liar, but then broke down and admitted to everything. Ryan tried to tell everyone that things were complicated and that he really did love me. He claimed that his relationship with Monica was a mistake and that he had planned to end it. I didn't let him finish. I told them both, him and Monica, to get out of my house. Some of Ryan's friends tried to defend him, but most guests were clearly disgusted. Several people who had known Ryan for years looked shocked and betrayed. A few of my business associates immediately offered their support. As Ryan and Monica were leaving, Monica turned back and tried to guilt-trip me about the baby. She started crying about how they needed help and how I couldn't just abandon them. I told her that her baby was Ryan's responsibility, not mine, and that she should have thought about financial stability before planning to scam people. I spent the rest of the night changing all my passwords and calling my bank to block any potential access Ryan might have had to my accounts. I also called my lawyer to start legal proceedings for a restraining order against both of them. Update 3. It's been 7 months since that night at the party, and my life has completely changed. After throwing Ryan and Monica out, I discovered something that made the situation even worse. While reviewing my business accounts with my accountant, we found that Ryan had been stealing money from me. He had access to some of my passwords and had been making small transfers regularly to an account that we later discovered belonged to Monica. The transfers were cleverly disguised as vendor payments, starting from just 2 months after he moved in with me. He had been careful to keep the amount small enough not to raise immediate suspicion, usually between $500 to $1,000 each time. Over 9 months, he had managed to steal nearly $45,000 from my business accounts. I immediately pressed charges against both of them for fraud. The legal proceedings are still ongoing. My lawyers are confident that they will face consequences, especially since we have solid evidence of fraud. James has agreed to testify against them, which strengthens our case significantly. Ryan still tries to contact me through different numbers and email addresses. Sometimes he begs for forgiveness, claiming he really did fall in love with me. Other times he threatens to ruin my reputation if I don't drop the charges. I've blocked him everywhere and documented all his attempts at contact for the court case. Monica gave birth 3 months ago and has been using the baby to try to manipulate me. She sent me pictures of the baby through mutual acquaintances, claiming the child deserves a better life and that I should help for the baby's sake. I blocked her too and made it clear through my lawyer that any attempt to contact me would be considered harassment. The whole experience has made me much more cautious. I've completely renovated the security systems for both my home and business. I've installed security cameras, changed all passwords, and implemented stricter financial controls. My business has actually improved since Ryan left, probably because I'm now more focused and careful with everything. I sold the house we lived in. I couldn't stand being in that space anymore with all its memories. I've moved to a new place and started fresh. Some days are still hard, especially when I think about how easily I was deceived. But I'm grateful that I discovered the truth before the wedding and before giving them any more money. Audrey has been incredibly supportive through everything. She helped me organize a charity event last month where we raised awareness about romance scams and financial fraud. We met several other victims of similar scams, and it was both heartbreaking and empowering to hear their stories. I'm still dealing with the betrayal, but I'm focusing on healing and moving forward. The experience has taught me valuable lessons about trust and vigilance. Sometimes I still can't believe how blind I was, but at least now I'm free from their lies and manipulation, and I'm determined to make sure they face consequences for what they did.